Welcome back, Capital F football fans, to the O&O Sports YouTube channel. Today, we are looking ahead at an absolutely stacked Week 7 of this college football season. As always, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy it. Around 95% of you watching aren't subscribed, so go ahead and do that. It helps the channel out a lot. And hit the other O&O Sports accounts. Links to those will be in the description to be entered into the 75 or die giveaway. Rules for that will be on the screen as I am talking about it. Right now, we're hovering at like 79%. So you have very good odds right now of $100. And if it doesn't, you still have a chance to win $50, literally free money. Go ahead and get entered into that by going to our other accounts. And with that, let's get this week started. Starting with a Big Ten matchup in 17th ranked Illinois facing the number 1 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State is actually a 14.5 point favorite in this matchup, which means FanDuel has them favored to win 33-18. And unironically, Illinois might be the best team that Ohio State has played so far. Todd is pretty big on Illinois. He has them 20th overall and has them as the 22nd best home team in the country. And that's mainly because they've been one of the most efficient teams offensively and defensively in the country overall. Luke Altmaier has been on an absolute tear. The rushing game hasn't really matched it, but that hasn't really hindered the offense. Illinois has still been very efficient in that aspect. They do have that blemish versus Indiana, which you can't overlook, but at the same time, while Illinois did look terrible in that game, they've shown the capacity to absolutely blow up and have a terrible game. When they are firing on all cylinders, they are absolutely capable of hanging around with a team like Ohio State. But Ohio State has been as advertised this season. Todd has them top 10 in both offense and defense so far, and he has them as the 5th ranked road team overall. They've been as good on the road as they've been at home so far. And they also have a very similar, very efficient offense. Julian Sandman, one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country. And the Ohio State ground game is miles ahead of where Illinois is right now. I expect Ohio State to be able to control the pace of this game. I don't think it will get out of hand like Indiana, but Ohio State definitely has that explosive upside of an Indiana. However, since this matchup is going to be played in Champaign, I like Illinois just a little bit more. I think they beat the spread, but still, I have Ohio State winning 34-21. And next, let's jump to the SEC to look at 14th ranked Missouri taking on 8th ranked Alabama. Alabama is a 3.5 point favorite on the road, which means FanDuel has them winning at about 28-24 in Columbia. And in this matchup, I have to start with Alabama. Ty Simpson has been on point the last few weeks, has looked like one of the best quarterbacks overall in those matchups. And since Jam Miller has come back, he has looked like the bell cow we expected him to be coming into this season. And on top of that, this defense has been one of the best in the country. They've held their last 3 Power 4 opponents to just 16 points per game on average. The defense has been elite. The offense hasn't been as elite, especially not in the red zone, but still very good on that side. But Missouri does have sneaky game-breaking type of talent. Bo Pribula has been a very solid dual threat quarterback, over 1,300 total yards and 12 touchdowns this season. And they have Ahmad Hardy at running back, who is, in my opinion, absolutely a Heisman contender so far. Over 7.1 yards per carry, 730 total yards, and 9 touchdowns for Hardy so far. I feel like he is the spiritual successor to a Dylan Sampson for Tennessee last year. Really embodies that elite running back 1 type of player. And on top of that, on defense, they have a pair of borderline elite edge rushers in Damon Wilson and Zion Young. Those two have combined for 9.5 tackles for loss and 5.5 sacks so far this season. On top of that, they have a good O-line. They have good receiver threats. They are a very capable offense, but I think this has all the makings of a great defensive battle. Alabama's front 7 is loaded. Missouri's front 7 is almost equally as loaded. Missouri has sneakily had one of the best linebacker rooms in the country so far, but at the end of the day, I think Bama is going to Bama. I think Missouri's offense is running into a brick wall in the Alabama Crimson Tide defense. And on top of that, I think Alabama's offense is a marathon versus a sprint type of offense. I think they're built to endure all 4 quarters of a football game. They do have explosive upside. They do have home run potential. But so far the last few weeks, they've really been at their best when they're churning out drives. Slow and steady wins the race, and I think slow and steady wins for Alabama. I have them beating the Tigers 30-24. And next is one of the craziest matchups this week. It is is the Red River Shootout. It is the Texas Longhorns facing the 6th ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Texas is actually a 2.5-point favorite. FanDuel has them winning at about 23-21, and this is just the matchup to end all matchups for the Red River Shootout. Unranked Texas as a favorite versus 6th ranked Oklahoma. How does that make sense? What is going on? Let me try to make sense of it for you. John Mateer is still injured. We've had some reports that he is trending towards playing, but it is still completely up in the air at this point. We will be closely monitoring that situation going into this Saturday, but if he is not able to play, this Oklahoma offense might be in trouble. They have a capable backup in Michael Hawkins Jr., but they would be losing what is probably their most efficient rusher in John Mateer, as well as being their quarterback, obviously. The story for Oklahoma all season has been that defense, and it's been John Mateer's show on offense all season long. And if he can return, they obviously have a great shot to win this matchup. But on the other side, we have Texas. Texas has been a mess. If you watch college football, you've seen it all. Arch Manning off to a very slow start. And while he did get it going the past few weeks, did look pretty solid in their matchup against Florida. Somehow, some way, they find a way to lose that game in Gainesville. That defense really couldn't find a way to stop that Florida offense, which struggled in the weeks prior to it. Maybe Florida just figured it out, but not a good sign for the Texas defense. And so far this season, Texas has yet to play a complete game of football. Offense struggled early, but then last week, while the offense looked a lot more improved than it was, the defense is what broke down and really gave up that win. But what better time to figure it out and get that complete game than in this matchup versus your rival in Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout? I think Texas gets a fire lit under them. I think that coaching staff knows exactly what to do in this kind of scenario, will be able to get the most out of its guys. And most importantly, I think Texas benefits from either no John Mateer in this matchup or a not 100% John Mateer. I have Texas winning this matchup 20-17. And moving back to the Big Ten, it is 3rd ranked Oregon taking on 7th ranked Indiana. Oregon is a touchdown favorite in this one, which means FanDuel has them winning at about 31-24. And this matchup is very, very interesting for a lot of reasons. They're two undefeated Big Ten squads, both coming off bye weeks, and both have borderline great to elite offenses. Oregon's rushing attack specifically has been so good this year that Mekhi Hughes, their star transfer running back who came into this year, just couldn't get reps, had to transfer out this week. What more is there to say about a room if that kind of talent just has to leave because they can't find a spot? They have 5 players with over 20 attempts so far this season, and they're currently 6th in the country in rushing yards per attempt. And one of those 5 players with over 20 rushing attempts is Dante Moore, who has been arguably the best quarterback in the Big Ten so far. Over 1,300 total yards, 14 total touchdowns, and a passer efficiency rating of 184 on the season. If you don't know what that means he's playing football pretty good. But on the other side, Indiana has a quarterback that's been just as good. Fernando Mendoza, been very efficient, been as versatile as Dante Moore with over 1,300 total yards, 18 total touchdowns, and a passer efficiency rating almost at 200. And all that is to say, this might be the best quarterback matchup we've seen all season long. But don't sleep on that Indiana rushing attack. They are 14th in the country in rushing yards per attempt. These are 2 top 15 caliber offenses in the country going at it. And with that brings me to which of these defenses will be able to hold up for all 4 quarters of this matchup. And I'm going to have to phone Todd on this one. He has Oregon as the 8th best defense in the country, but he has Indiana as the 12th best defense. But on top of that, he has Oregon as the 3rd best home team in the country. Indiana is the 12th best away team. And I think with Oregon's defense and the home environment playing that extra element in this game, I have this game remaining close for about 3 quarters, but ultimately I have Oregon winning this matchup and covering 30-21. And last in the Big Ten, it is the USC Trojans facing the 15th ranked Michigan Wolverines at home. And this is another case of an unranked team being favored over a ranked team. USC is a 2.5-point favorite in this matchup, which means FanDuel has them winning at about 30-28. And with Michigan being a 2.5-point dog on the road, that means this game is a deadlock toss-up. So I'm just going to cut to the chase here. USC one of the best offenses in the country. Michigan might have one of the best defenses in the country. With that, we kind of just have to set those aside for right now and look elsewhere for this matchup. Let's look at Michigan's offense. They've lived and died by the run, quite literally. In fact, rushed for over 300 against Nebraska and they win that game. Rushed for under 150 versus Oklahoma, they lose that game. The way the ground game goes for Michigan has been deciding them games so far this season, and this is going to be the best rush defense that Michigan has seen since that Oklahoma game. USC, I believe, around 25th in the country in rushing yards allowed per attempt. So the question of this matchup is going to be, do I trust Bryce Underwood, the 5-star phenom, the $7 million man, to go to LA, step into the Coliseum, and win this game? And my answer is no, I do not trust him at all to win this kind of game. I think he is a great player. I think he's shown flashes, especially with his legs. I think he can be a very capable dual threat quarterback in the following seasons, but I just do not trust him here. I don't trust him yet to make the big throws, make the big decisions later in this matchup when it could be close coming down to the wire. And inversely, I do absolutely trust Jane Mayava in all of those things I said. I think the better quarterback will win here, and I don't think Michigan will be able to completely shut down USC like they have for some other teams so far this season. I have USC winning this matchup 31-27. And don't click off, folks. We have a 6th matchup for this video. The first time we've done that this season. Usually we try to keep it to 5, but this week is so loaded, I just had to include Auburn versus 10th ranked Georgia. Georgia is a 3.5 point favorite on the road, which means FanDuel has them winning at about 24-21. And this is yet another interesting line from Las Vegas this week. Georgia and Auburn on paper, you would expect Georgia to be the heavy favorite, but just a field goal favorite in this matchup for the Bulldogs, which means they have this one being a bit of a slugfest, and I have to totally agree there. Georgia has shown the ability to hit the home run ball. See the Tennessee game if you do not believe me. But Auburn's defense has been able to hit home runs as well, or I guess keep them in the park, or however that analogy would work. I don't think this is the type of game where either team hits 30 points in this one, and when it comes down to it, I think it'll look very similar to how that Alabama-Georgia game did for the Bulldogs. And in that matchup where Alabama had Ty Simpson, Auburn has Jackson Arnold. And I don't hate Arnold. I think he has improved as a player, but as a quarterback and as a passer, I can't say he's looked that much better. Still very inaccurate throwing the ball so far this season. 65% passing for 800 yards, which doesn't sound bad, but a majority of those attempts are coming within 5 yards. He's averaging 6.3 yards per attempt, which is around 106th in the country. And to make this simple so we can wrap up this video, I don't think Auburn's offense is good enough to win a game like this. I could be wrong. They have talent. Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton on the perimeter of that offense. But even if the Auburn defense forces this into a back and forth field goal slugfest haymaker kind of game, I don't see Jackson Arnold or the offense altogether being able to make enough plays to go over the Bulldogs in this one. I have Georgia winning 24-21. And with that, thank you for watching. As always, be sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy it. Hit those other accounts to be entered into the 75 or die giveaway. Have a fantastic week of football watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.